Item number 9 is an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Brooklyn, docket number 14-2573, block 276, lots 9 and 7, 187 to 191 Atlantic Avenue in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District. A Gothic Revival style row house built in 1850 to 1860 and an eclectic style brick house built in 1880 to 1899. This is an application to legalize alterations to the storefront at 187 Atlantic Avenue and the installation of storefront infill and an awning at 191 Atlantic Avenue without Landmarks Preservation Commission permits and to replace a sign.
Good morning, Commissioners. Katie Rice, Landmark staff. 187 to 191 Atlantic Avenue is located on the north side of Atlantic Avenue between Clinton and Court Street in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District. The 3 storefronts pictured span 2 buildings. 187 Atlantic Avenue is here to the west, and 189 and 191 Atlantic Avenue is to the east. The proposal is to legalize the alterations to the storefront at 187 and the replacement of the storefront and installation of awning at 191. Note that the previous storefront pictured above at 191 Atlantic Avenue was replaced with an LPC permit in the 1960s. In addition, the existing sign here spans the 2 storefronts. It was approved, this sign here was approved to replace a grandfathered sign. The storefront at 189 Atlantic Avenue is grandfathered and not part of the proposal. Again, the proposal is to legalize the alteration to the storefront at 189 and to legalize the replacement of the storefront at 191 and the installation of an awning at that same location. Please note the signage, as originally said, is not part, has been eliminated from the proposal.
The signage has been eliminated from the proposal?
Yes, sorry. The signage has been eliminated from the proposal. And the applicants are here.
But it's already there.
That sign is going to be removed, and the signage that was indicated in the advertisement and said before is not
They're
being
not going
replaced.
with that one?
No.
Okay, thank you. And the existing signs are all fine with?
The one above, the one spanning the 2 storefronts is approved, and
The long one.
yes, and this one is going to be removed.
Why is it being removed before they even ask?
Good morning. I'm Mary Diericks. I'm the preservation consultant for this project. And with me is Charlie Sahadi, who would like to say a few words about the work that they did on the storefront. Now.
Good morning, everyone. My family. the
Just put
Sahadi
your
family-
name on the record, maybe you're coming to it, please,
Okay, I'm
just state it.
Charlie Sahadi.
Thank you.
My brother and I
Good.
are the present owners of Sahadi's on Atlantic Avenue and the buildings. We've owned it ourselves approximately 50 years, and prior to that, my dad had bought the buildings earlier. I'm a very proud Brooklynite. I'm a very proud Atlantic Avenue person, and we have tried to do nothing more than make the street even nicer than it was. The storefront that we put up was put up because of the old storefront had fallen apart, and we had to replace it, and we didn't have a lot of time to fully implement the paperwork necessary to go through landmarks. The problem was when we expected to put the old storefront back, and when it couldn't be replaced, the store was going to be open a week later, and it was impossible to get it done that quickly. So we put something up that's more in line with the way the other 2 stores look. We tried to make the 3 buildings look like they're from the same period, which they actually are. I was on the street when this one, from the one that was approved in the 60s, before the 60s, it looked like this. So we really went back in time, and I thought we were doing the right thing for the Landmark Commission in our area, because I thought we were preserving the history from the 30s and 40s, as opposed to coming into the future, which is what the storefront there was. We replicated the sign. We had gotten approval on the sign at 187, 189, so we made the same sign basically, but smaller. And the awnings, we had just gotten approval on the other two awnings, and we also felt that it would probably be acceptable to make the same awning. As you see, it's all uniform now. The stores all look like they've been there for years, which they have, but it's one family business now that takes up to 3 spaces. And we'd like to, well, we'd love it to go through just like it is, but
Okay.
I understand you're going to have some objections, and we'll see what
Remains,
it takes.
remains to be seen. Thank you for the presentation and the background, context.
Mr. Hirsch?
Missy, you got something
Yes,
more to
Mary
add?
Diericks,
Okay.
just that running through, so you get an idea of what the stores look like.
Now, which is the original one there?
187,
187,
That is that
so,
one.
That's the original?
No, the
I'm
next
sorry.
one.
The 187 and 189, interestingly enough, were the two that were the Sahadi stores. And, but the original, the old, the pre-designation store is 189,
So that's the one that hasn't been touched?
yeah,
Okay.
since designation.
Which was that?
Designation was the 1966,
Brooklyn
65.
Heights, right?
Mm.
Yeah. First historic district. Yeah.
So this is the stores in 1940. The 187 was different, you know, at that time. They all were really. By the 1960s, the 187 was the way it is now. There's the designation photo, a little bit hard to tell. But you can see the Sahadi store, 187 and 189. The proposal is to, as Katie mentioned, is to retain the storefront, but remove the exterior roll-down gate. The one other thing I want to say is that, and these are the two proposals, is that the bulkheads are high, but high bulkheads are interestingly very common in Brooklyn Heights and Cobble Hill. And these are just some examples of high bulkheads in the historic district, including historic ones. They've been high for a long time. It's not just like since 1990. And that's really the full.
Okay, questions?
You
Yes.
need to explain
Yeah,
what the alterations.
alteration to the bulkhead at
Yeah.
187, our understanding is that they put wood cladding in front of the bulkhead. So that was the only alteration made to that storefront, is the same sort of wood paneling that is at 191 now.
So the,
No, 189 has a metal storefront that's the grandfathered storefront. It also sort of has this ribbing look to it because it is that corrugated metal.
So it's metal?
appears like
it only
Yeah, but
It
it
looks like
would,
wood,
yes.
And this wood, both wood is finished, and, you know, it's varnished.
So was one of those what was existing at designation?
Yes, the 189.
okay, so the westernmost storefront is the one that had the wood paneling added to the bulkhead without permits.
Yes.
That's this
And
one.
otherwise, there was no other change made. At 189, which is the middle storefront, that's a grandfathered storefront, and there is nothing that has been changed and nothing that's part of this application. And at the easternmost storefront, there is a new storefront that was installed without permits.
Okay.
Missy, can you maybe show the three?
Go back to the 3.
Yeah, first was the three.
Okay.
So which one is the original? The middle one? I'm confused, right? Okay, thank you. But you did-
Grandfathered.
But that paneling is metal, and the other two panelings on either
Are
side
wood,
are
are
wood.
varnished wood.
Okay.
The storefronts in 189 to 191, there is a decorative metal band that the signs conceal. The sign that spans 187 to 189 was a recladding of a grandfathered sign, and that's why that was approved. But the new sign at 191 covers a decorative metal cladding, and I understand that that is proposed to be removed to expose the historic decorative.
Okay.
Do you have any pictures of the easternmost circle before this?
It's in here.
It's on page 9.
I guess the one question I have too is the wood on either side of the middle one, doesn't that get destroyed in the winter with the?
The reason for the wood is the windows themselves are.
Why don't you go up in the,
They're very, very old.
Christine.
so just go up in the front, put your name, state your name for the record, please.
I'm Christine Wellen, I'm Charlie's daughter.
Yeah.
I did this job. The reason the wood was put on the left side after the fact is because the windows have gaps, because the glass is very old and the molding has deteriorated over
That's
the
not what
years.
I'm talking
So-
about. I'm talking about at street level, because when you're shoveling snow and you have ice and everything, it usually will be like a capillary action.
It's mahogany and it's been stained, and we've had very good luck with it. We were told that it would withstand, it would stay the longest. The reason we put it in is because it's a, we figured if we're gonna go through landmarks, we wanna make sure that we put something that's going to be long lasting. And it's been very, they've come back and re-stained the bottom, but we've had no deterioration at all, which I'm really happy
How
with.
old is it? How long has it been up there?
It's been, well, in 191, it's been there since September 15th of 2012. And this one was done about 3 months later when we noticed the gaps.
So
And
both in 2012.
yeah, one done further into the winter
So
though.
Less than, about 2 years, less than 2 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the weather does, the old wood was very deteriorated. The 187 was not metal, it was wood.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Any testimony? Okay. We will go now to to our discussion. Thank you very much. Fred again, please, my left.
Well, I just want to thank Charlie Sahadi, who's a complete icon in our neighborhood, for appearing here and making the case. I can't imagine or you can't imagine the changes that have taken place on Atlantic Avenue over the course of his family's extraordinary ownership of this remarkable place. So thank you, Charlie, for coming. I think what's happened here is, I think it was explained pretty well in both the enthusiasm and need to open a store, which we did approve. I remember the approval of certain elements of it. I guess a few little relatively minor issues happened that were against the approval. So here we are. The only thing that's really bugging me at all are the unpainted, varnished, I guess it's mahogany, bulkheads. To me, I could be happy with this if they were painted some appropriate color with staff approval. That would be what I would suggest.
Okay, Libby.
And certainly wooden storefronts have a precedent in the district, and I'm not going to quibble about whether it's painted or varnished. I think they both are going to be maintenance nightmares, but if you're willing to take them on, I'm sure that you will maintain them beautifully, as you do everything else about your facility. So I can approve the changes that have been made
Mike,
here.
excuse me, Michael Devonshire.
Without Sahadi, there would not have been a Brooklyn Heights Renaissance. Because they are mahogany, and I'm assuming they're real mahogany, you can pretty much do anything to these that you want. I have no problem with them being clear finished at all.
Okay. Joan.
Yeah, I can support it.
Michael.
I agree. I think that although the use of this mahogany and a clear finish with that particular pattern is a bit off the norm, I think that we give storefronts a lot of leeway, and the store certainly has track record to merit its distinctiveness, both as a store and as that design. So I don't think it requires any significant modification.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, I agree. These are extraordinary, marvelous Brooklyn storefronts. They work well.
agree, but I'm also a big fan, so it's like having a celebrity here, really. I used to live around the corner, so I bought stuff there almost every day.
If we had to recuse everyone here based on affection, we would not have a single vote. Diana?
Yeah, I think that given the height of bulkheads and various establishments throughout the neighborhood, and just that, that is fine, which I originally was wondering about, and I do think that the materials and the appearance in general are appropriate in this particular instance, and that the, so that the addition of the one that will fit in with the other, the previously approved one is fine, and I can approve it.
Okay, Roberta?
I can approve it.
Yeah.
Like the idea of painting it because I think it would be, maybe I don't know it as well as others, but I think that it would be more maybe
Yeah.
neighborhood friendly in terms of what exists in other parts of the district. But I also think that, maybe it is its own icon.
Mhm. Okay, before we go to a vote, Fred?
I want to change my testimony. Having listened to everybody else, I don't want to be the only one saying the only way to get approval is to paint. Nobody else needs to paint. I also don't think you need to paint it.
Good, and I'm swayed by the mahogany, your testimony. Hearing closed, motion second, and Joan, please.
Sure.
Approved.
It'd be my pleasure.
To be approved.
I guess I'm the only one who has a shop there because I live in Queens, so I have to make a trip now. Yeah, it is, I hear that. In the matter of 187 to 191 Atlantic Avenue, Brooklyn Heights Historic District, a Gothic Revival-style row house built in 1850 to 60, and an eclectic-style brick house built in 1880 to 99, I'm sorry. Application is to legalize alterations to the storefront at 187 Atlantic Avenue and the installation of storefront infill and an awning at 191 Atlantic Avenue without Landmarks Preservation Commission permits, and to replace a sign. Noting, well, I don't think the sign is in here now. It is? Yes. Okay. Noting that the style, scale, materials, and details of the buildings are among the features which contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Brooklyn Heights Historic District, I recommend approval, finding that the replacement of the modern storefront at 191 Atlantic Avenue and recladding of a modern storefront bulkhead at 187 Atlantic Avenue did not eliminate or obscure any significant historic fabric or architectural features, that the configuration and materials of the new storefront featuring a wood and glass recessed entrance with paired doors, display windows, and bulkheads are consistent with the configuration and materials of historic storefronts at buildings of this type, style, and age, that the proportions of the new storefront maintains a predominance of glazing and transparency characteristics of historic storefronts and relate well to the size of the bay and the building's overall proportions, that the bulkheads are in keeping with the range of the varied bulkhead heights found throughout this streetscape, that the vertical woodboard cladding at the bulkheads has created a simple design pattern which recalls the level of articulation of a historic storefront without drawing undue attention to the bulkheads, that the bulkhead cladding is harmonious with the pattern of the corrugated metal bulkhead at the existing storefront at 189 Atlantic Avenue, helping to maintain a unified appearance at the base of this building, that the presence of an awning at 191 Atlantic Avenue is consistent with typical features at storefronts of buildings of this type, style, and age, and that the historic decorative metal lintel above the storefront will be revealed by this work.
All in favor? Aye, opposed? That's approved. Thank you. Done.